you ever felt exhausted, not because you didn't get enough sleep, but because of what you spent your day doing? The kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. The kind that makes work or self-care or even enjoyable things just sound exhausting. If you felt this kind of tired, you're not alone. We often assume that tiredness is all about rest. If you're exhausted, then sleep. If you're drained, take a break. But real rest isn't just stopping. Sometimes it's about switching to something that fuels you instead of draining you. So let's define tiredness. Tiredness isn't always just a lack of sleep. It's a lack of energy, physical, mental, and emotional energy. Physical exhaustion is obvious. You've been on your feet all day, you haven't eaten, your body is spent. That's physical exhaustion. Mental exhaustion creeps in when you've been problem solving, planning, overanalyzing. If we look at the brain kind of like a muscle, it makes sense that it gets tired like any other muscle when you use it consistently or in concentrated amounts. Emotional exhaustion is when you've been giving too much of yourself, carrying burdens that might not be yours, managing how others feel, or maybe suppressing your own emotions. It's not uncommon to have emotional commitments to certain things in our lives, and so even though they might not be what you're currently working on, they're still taking up a lot of your emotional energy. For example, if you work in something that requires a lot of emotional energy, but you're also trying to figure out a relationship challenge, then even though the relationship challenge isn't present while you're at work, it might not feel like you have the emotional energy for your job, because of the emotional commitment is still focused on your relationship. For me, writing drains me. I can feel the energy slipping away with every word, and it's not that I don't enjoy it, but after a while it just feels like my brain doesn't want to push forward anymore. I'll sit there staring at a screen feeling like I'm forcing something that just doesn't come naturally to me. But talking to people, talking to clients, that fuels me. I walk away from people feeling alive. The hidden cause of tiredness. Here's something most people don't realize. Your energy isn't just about what you do, it's about whether what you do aligns with you or not. Ever notice how you can spend hours and hours on something that you love and feel fine, but 10 minutes into something draining makes you want to take a nap? That's because energy isn't just about effort, it's about resonance. When you do things that go against who you think you are, that's when tiredness hits hardest. It's like your brain is trying to tell you, hey, this isn't aligned with you, so I'm gonna do anything I can to get you to go back and stop doing that. Go and do something that makes you feel connected. You might be too tired to do homework, but you're definitely not too tired to go hang out with your friends. That's because your brain perceives that the serotonin, oxytocin, and dopamine that comes from hanging out with your friends is a priority over the mental strain of homework. An extrovert forced into solitude for too long is gonna feel super sluggish and disconnected. They're gonna be tired. In the same vein, an introvert surrounded by constant social stimulation is gonna be tired. They're gonna feel drained even if they were never doing anything physical. A creative mind forced into repetitive logical work will feel exhaustion creeping in within minutes. I used to work at a utility billing company for a little bit, and I remember I was dying there. It was terrible for me personally. Some people really thrived in that environment. And I remember they pulled me aside. They're like, hey, you're doing really, really well. How do you like it here? And I was like, I'm going crazy. Right? They said, what do you need? I was like, I need a creative outlet. I dread coming to work. Right? So again, a creative mind forced into repetitive logical work can feel exhaustion really quickly. And the same way, a highly structured person trying to work in chaos will feel mentally overwhelmed all day. Tiredness is often a sign that something in your life is out of sync. That isn't just a theory, it's actually backed by psychology. Studies on motivation and burnout show that people are most exhausted when they feel a lack of autonomy, when they're forced into work, relationships, or lifestyles that don't match who they think they are. How to overcome energy drain. So if you're constantly tired, the question isn't always just, am I getting enough sleep? It's, am I spending my energy on the right things? Take a moment and identify some of the things that drain you versus the things that fuel you. Pay attention to how you feel after different activities. What makes you feel alive? What leaves you feeling empty? And do what you can to balance your energy. If you have to do things that drain you, like your job maybe, or homework, counterbalance them with things that do fuel you. I'm not saying if you don't feel alive when you're doing homework or doing your job, then you shouldn't do them. Sometimes the things that are most important to our progression are going to be draining because we're trying really hard to progress. And in order for us to go beyond where we currently are, we have to do things that are outside of our comfort zone. For me, like I said, I much prefer talking to people than I do writing. But I do think that writing is something that's going to help me become a better speaker, and hopefully someday it's going to help me reach more and help more people. So just because writing drains me doesn't mean that it's not something I should do. Homework is exhausting, but it's also a step in the right direction to gain knowledge and expertise and prepare yourself for your future. So if something like work or homework or writing exhausts you, schedule something afterward that's energizing. If certain people drain you, balance those people with other people who uplift you. Instead of just stopping, shift into something that replenishes you. Again, rest isn't just lying down. It's reconnecting with what makes you, you. So if you're really tired and you're just exhausted, you might not be tired because you need more sleep. You might be tired because something in your life is pulling energy out of you without giving it back. The key isn't just rest, and it's definitely not social media. It's realignment. One of the biggest things that I think exhausts us is we think, I'm going to unwind and I'm going to just kind of rest. But instead of resting, we open up our phones and we open Instagram or TikTok or whatever it might be, and we just scroll. And so it's like, I'm resting, but you're putting your brain into a really stimulating environment, so you're not actually resting. So next time you're exhausted, don't just immediately go to resting. Ask yourself, what would energize me right now? Because sometimes the best way to recharge is to start doing the things that light you up. Anyway, those are some thoughts. Feel free to like and subscribe and do all the things. I'm really working hard to produce good content, and I'd love your feedback in the comments. I'd love to know what I can do better. And if you thought I earned a subscription, dope, that'd be awesome. I'm here to help people and teach people the psychology that we don't talk about a whole lot. Yes, sir.